Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Bill, here with Scott as always. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
You are in a good mood.
Dude, I am so over the top with these Olympic Games.
I can't believe it. Really? You've never talked about being a fan of the Olympics at all?
I've watched some of the dumbest, most obscure sports games. I can't even call them all sports. I was late to work yesterday because I was watching men's table tennis. I'm going to call it ping pong. They can call it table tennis. It was ping pong.
I think your boss listens.
That's okay. I went in and I was like, hey, sorry I'm late. I got wrapped up in an enthralling game of table tennis.
Wow. Yeah, I've never really been. The reason I don't like the Olympics is because I would try to watch like different strokes as a kid, and this show will not be shown. Instead, it's a special presentation of the Olympics. Oh, fuck the Olympics.
Yeah.
And it stuck with me. The only Olympics I like is Summer Games. Remember that old?
The video game?
Yeah, the old Commodore 64 game. That's it. That's the extent of my knowledge on Olympics.
What were some of the events from the game? I remember there was like the track and field stuff. Like you like do the shot put.
Yeah.
Like the throwing games. The triple jump was one.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like I think there was like kayaking maybe.
Well, I also think I'm mixing it up. You're thinking of one. I'm also thinking of that one, but I called it Summer Games. Summer Games was the sequel. And it had like skateboarding and things like that, I kind of remember.
Okay.
It had a half pipe.
Or was that Skate or Die you're thinking of?
It could have been. No, I'm pretty sure this was Summer Games. So what was the one, what was it called?
There was one that was called Track and Field.
Track and Field.
Because remember, Track and Field came with the power pad.
No, I don't remember that.
Okay. Well, there were some good Olympic video games. But my reason for asking you about like the events, like some of these events I'm watching are just obscure fucking events. Like you have the big ones, you have your swimming, track and field's all going to take place next week. I was watching men's and women's soccer. There's bicycling, all different kinds of bicycling, like you name it. Bicycling on the streets, bicycling on tracks, rowing, all kinds of shit like that. I was watching women's rugby the other day.
Really?
It was the most enthralling thing I could ever see. And here's the thing for me. With the Olympics, it's not just about the sport. It's more about the pageantry. It's about the harrowing stories of turmoil and then the triumph over that and the triumph over adversity. And like every athlete has the worst fucking backstory you ever heard. Like parents dying, wives dying, spouses just like losing children. One girl got like double kidney failure and she was 45 pounds overweight at the beginning of the season, and she battled back to not just make the Olympic team, but to win the gold medal. And it's like, no shit.
Oh, wow. So the Olympics now is like a show like watching American Idol.
Oh, yeah.
Jennifer overcame 12 bouts of gonorrhea to get here. I don't know if you all can hear the dogs, but something is going on upstairs. We're having a party.
This is like, is Michael Vick coming over?
Yeah. They're all barking at him. Yeah, I don't know if any of this is making it through the mic.
But yeah, to your point, they all have these terrible backstories. Yeah, the men's Ukrainian gymnastics team stayed in Kiev to continue their training rather than coming to the States or someplace else outside of a war zone to train. And like, they were fantastic last night. So
more important things, I think, than training for the Olympics in Kiev.
And here's the other thing. I don't get into the Olympics because the whole like rah, 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 USA, we have more medals, who has the most medals, all that bullshit. America, fuck yeah! Because this year, the Russians are actually barred from sporting. Like they're not, like there may be some Russian athletes there, but they're not competing under the Russian flag. They're competing under this NIA, which is something along the lines of non-allegiance individual or something along those lines. But then I'm watching, again, another weird event. I'm watching synchronized diving, women's synchronized diving. Two women standing up on a platform, like a 20-meter platform, and they go, ready? Yup. 1, 2, 3, and then they both jump off at the same time and do the exact same moves, and they're judged on if they're rotating at the same time, if they enter the water at the same time, if their splash is low the same. So it's not just like a diving competition, it's diving in unison with somebody else competition. So Russia's barred from these games. Fucking North Koreans came in like third place. So why are the North Koreans allowed if you're not allowing other people that are, in wars or have like war crimes against them?
They haven't invaded anybody yet.
But apparently that was the very first medal that North Korea has ever won.
Huh.
So there's all kinds of these stories, but like the international aspect of it, or, U.S. has more medals. My kids are way into that. Like, oh, the U.S. has this many medals and it's this many more than the next guy. I'm like, guys, it's a fucking numbers game. Like, no kidding. We have more athletes there competing in more sports and have more opportunities to medal. Of course we are. Plus the Russians aren't there.
The deck is stacked in our favor.
It really feels. I mean, the Australians are doing good. The Australians are cleaning up golds in the swimming events. So everything's happening in Paris, France.
Yeah.
So they're like 6 hours ahead. I love not being on social media because everybody's telling me that like when they watch it at nighttime, it's already ruined for them who won it and they know what's going to happen. I don't have any of that happening for me. And here's something else that's crazy. Surfing is a Olympic sport.
No.
Yeah. Where do you think they're going to surf in France?
Yeah, that's a great question.
They're not. Because Tahiti, I guess, is a French colony. They're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean surfing in Tahiti. But France is the host nation. So they have Colin Jost from Saturday Night Live over in Tahiti as a correspondent talking about the surfing event.
How'd they get him? Why'd they get him? When I think of surfing, I think of Colin Jost.
Here's why. The whole thing is being aired by NBC Peacock. So this is all just a huge publicity thing for them. Do you know who their big color commentator is? Snoop Dogg.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Shit's about to get real.
Dude, I watched a 2-minute video of him swimming in the pool with Michael Phelps.
That was part of it.
That's why. All right, I was
why.
like, what is going on here?
Do you know why Snoop Dogg?
No.
Snoop Dogg's going to be a new host or judge for The Voice next season on NBC.
Oh, all right. Well, now I see how it's all connecting.
Do you know who was in the stands last night watching the women's gymnastics?
Ice Cube.
Close.
Dr. Dre.
No, right show for Ice-T. Mariska Hargitay, whatever her name is.
Sounded, what?
Mariska Hargitay is the woman from Law & Order, SVU.
Oh, right.
NBC's own Law & Order, so she's there. Do you know who the hype man is for the women's water polo?
Coolio.
The only number one hype man there is.
Flavor Flav?
Flavor Flav.
Stop it. I'm trying to be stupid.
Yeah, you can't be stupider than some of these hosts are.
Oh, man. He actually popped in my head when I said Coolio. I'm like, I'm just trying to think of rappers to go along with Snoop Dogg.
Flavor Flav is the hype man for women's water polo, the women's U.S. water polo team. And when I think water polo, especially women's water polo, who else are you going to think of but Flavor Flav?
Of course.
The women's rugby team I mentioned, you know who their hype man is?
Who? I can't even guess anymore.
Recently retired Philadelphia Eagle.
Trying to think of, Cox is. Is it Kelsey?
Jason Kelsey and his wife are over there.
Figures.
And Kelsey's running around like a beret.
Yeah. Is he really? Yeah. He's a big star now because his brother is dating Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really famous outside of Philadelphia for relative reasons, for sure. Other big stars. Tom Cruise was there.
Tom Cruise?
Tom Cruise.
He's supposed to be working on Mission Impossible 8. That thing's been filming and trying to get done for like 3 years now.
Is it being put out by NBC Universal?
Maybe.
Because that would be the only time I could figure Tom Cruise was there for.
Maybe Scientology is a sponsor.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That could be. He's there to recruit. Who else was there? Ariana Grande was there, along with the other woman that is acting in Wicked, also coming out in theaters.
No idea.
Yeah. It's almost like the place to be seen. Of course, there's like other Olympic famous people. Like, of course, you're going to have Michael Phelps being there and other big Olympians that over the years who I can't think of any of their names right now.
Greg Louganis.
I didn't see Greg Louganis, but they didn't do a whole lot with men's diving yet, so maybe.
What about the one we couldn't come up with the other day? Mary Lou Retton?
Mary Lou Retton. Yeah.
What about the Dream Team? Did they still do basketball and bring all the NBA guys in? Remember that?
LeBron James is over there. 92 was the first year in the Olympics where they allowed professional athletes to compete.
Wait, they're still doing it? I thought that was a one-time thing.
No. No, but this is a fantastic segue, Bill.
Why?
Speaking of one-time things, they're always adding and removing and doing different events. And the host city has a lot to do with what events are actually run. Now, there's always those standard ones like I mentioned before, like the swimming and the track and field and stuff, but there's some real oddball stuff. So you mentioned skateboarding on one of those video games.
Yeah.
Skateboarding, like park skateboarding, freestyle skateboarding is an event. Half pipe's an event. BMX bikes, an event.
Oh, I think that was in the game.
Freestyle biking is. Are you thinking of California games?
I think I'm thinking of California games.
Yeah, so a lot of these things were only added later on, like in recent years, in the 1990s and the 2000s. I went down a rabbit hole, as we often do on this show, and I want to see if you heard about this.
Ooh.
He said it! He said it!
We're going to play a surprise game. I am going to read off a few possible events, and I want to see if you can tell me if this was a real event that occurred in the Olympics or if I just made the whole fucking thing up.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I'm going to be terrible at this.
Number 1, plunge for distance. In this event, you jump off of a dive, straight up pencil dive, and just see how deep you can go before you rise back up to the surface.
Okay.
Was this or was this not an Olympic event?
There's no chance that's an Olympic event because I can't imagine there's any skill involved in that. It's all about how skinny you are and heavy you are at the same time to sink to the bottom.
So you're really going for the physics aspect of what would make a good plunge athlete.
That's right. That's right.
Well, I will have you know this is 100% real.
Oh, my God. What a dumb idea.
In 1904, it was held at the St. Louis, Missouri Games, and there were only 6 athletes that competed. They were all American, and the winner was William Dickey, who plunged to a depth of 62.5 feet.
Did he come up?
Yeah, he came up. He got the gold medal.
And it was all Americans that competed?
Only Americans competed because the rest of the countries were probably like, the fuck is training for this?
How do you do that? You're not even competing with anybody?
I don't know, man.
Every American won.
Yeah.
Well, there's only how many trophies? I guess you get gold, bronze.
Gold, silver, bronze. You're right. So, yeah.
Wait a minute. That makes no sense.
It does not. This is not the dumbest one. This is only the top of the iceberg.
All right.
How about solo synchronized swimming?
Wait, solo?
Solo synchronized swimming, yes. Is this real or bullshit?
Who are you synchronizing your swimming with if you're the only one doing it? It's bullshit.
It's 100% real.
How can it be real? This defies logic.
The name alone means it has to be fake, right?
Right.
I don't know if you were being judged on if you were synchronized with the music, but yeah, typically synchronized swimming is you and 30 other people in a pool doing the same routine, going underwater, kicking your legs. You're synchronized with other swimmers. It's synchronized swimming. No, in 1984, 1988, and the 1992 games, so 3 different Olympics in a row, solo synchronized swimming was a real thing.
So these aren't even every Olympics games.
No. It doesn't have to be in every single one. Like I said, they add events, they remove events. I'll tell you if and when these events happen and what years this landed.
Some of this sounds more like Guinness World Record than the Olympics.
All right, number 3. Live pigeon shooting.
Definitely not real. I cannot imagine PETA standing for this one.
This was 100% real.
Come on! Are you kidding?
I wish I was. I really wish I was. In 1900, much like this year, the games were being held in Paris, France. The goal of this event is to kill as many pigeons as you possibly can. They would release pigeons, and you would shoot at them, very much like duck hunt.
Right.
If you missed 2 in a row, you were done. So they would just keep going until everybody missed 2 in a row. Gold medal went to Belgium's Leon de Lunde, who killed 21 pigeons.
Holy hell.
When the event was over...
He had a machine gun.
When the event was over, across all of their competitors, 300 pigeons were littered about the field.
Oh, man. What year was this?
1900.
All right, so this hasn't been done since. All right.
This is probably the Olympic event that was done in the worst taste.
Could you imagine this just happened last night?
Fuck no. That would be incredible. All right, number 4. Pistol dueling.
Well, look, if they could kill pigeons from the 1900s, I'm sure the 1900s pistol dueling seemed like a great idea as well. So I'm going to say real.
You are 100% right.
I'm learning.
Now, this is not as exciting as what the title suggests. Yes, there were dueling pistols. Yes, they were taking 12 paces. But when they turned, they were not shooting at each other. This happened in the 1912 Olympics, being held in Stockholm, Sweden, where 2 shooters would stand side by side and walk side by side 12 paces, turn and shoot at a mannequin who for some reason was wearing a trench coat, because that's the uniform of the mannequin. So pistol dueling was an Olympic event.
Yeah, that would be I think they ought to shoot each other. I thought you were going to say they use blanks.
How would you judge?
First pop? I don't know.
Oh, so it's all about the speed, not the accuracy.
I guess, yeah.
Okay.
Misunderstood the game. And when was that? That was from when?
1912.
Okay. Not too far from the pigeon thing in 1900.
12 years later, they got smarter. They weren't shooting real animals.
Yeah.
In doing this study, I also read that there was white-tailed deer shooting, but they weren't shooting real deer. They would shoot wooden cutouts of deer. All right, number 5. The 200-meter swimming obstacle course.
This is insane. Now that you're saying all these, I'm going to assume this one's real. Is this real?
You are correct.
Oh my! Who grew up saying, I really want to be a obstacle course swimmer in the Olympics? Like, whose dream was that?
Well, here's the thing. This was again at the 1900 Paris Olympic Games. These Parisians must have added some of the most fucked up events ever. It started off by climbing a tall wooden pole and then riding it down into the center of this obstacle course. And this was all from British GQ, is where I got all, I can't say all, but this is where I got a lot of my data here is from British GQ. It said it was basically an Olympic version of that show Wipeout.
Yeah. Next, you're going to say there's a floor is lava game.
A giant crater filled with boiling lava.
Here's one. Watercolor.
Watercolor.
Art.
Oh, like swimming in the pool and peeing and seeing what color.
No, wrong. Different water games.
So painting?
Painting.
Watercolor painting.
It's just art in general. It could be music. It could be sculpture. It could be architecture. It could be paint, like you said.
Well, I'm going with the trend. Yes.
100% real. And this was a long-running thing from the Stockholm Games in 1912 all the way up to 1948.
How did you win?
Medals were awarded for sport-inspired art. So it had to be paintings or songs or sculptures or architecture inspired by sporting games. Now, the father of the modern Olympics, whose name escapes me right now, he wanted the Olympics to be just as much about intellectual strength as he did physical strength. So that's why he had art be awarded with a medal.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So you could have been an Olympian being a musician.
That sounds a little like Miss America. It's like
What's your talent?
Yeah, we're scoring them on their beauty, their talent, and their intelligence. No, you're not. You're scoring them on their bikinis.
All right, last one. Are you ready for this? Dog grooming.
Oh, come on. Oh, come on. I know the answer is yes.
Kinda.
Kinda.
So,
Dog grooming.
at those same 1900 Paris Games, this was a test event. But during this test, they had 128 competitors grooming dogs in front of a crowd of 6,000 people. It was actually called poodle clipping, not dog grooming, poodle clipping. How many poodles could you clip in a 2-hour time span?
Well, just start shaving like crazy.
The winner groomed 17 dogs in those 2 hours. Now, I had so many questions about this. Some of them were brought up by this GQ article. Where are you getting all these poodles? I mean, I know it's France, and I know, that old stereotype. What's to say all the dogs were the same size? What if the dog next to yours was 20 pounds heavier than the dog you had? You got it easy.
Oh.
What if the dogs were very ill-tempered, and the dog you had was trying to, bite your fingers off? Who's to say the styling of the dog was good? You just, shear these things straight down like a sheep? Did you have to, leave little poof tails on them and stuff?
Yeah, imagine summer like we are after it's like a groggy morning of shaving. We leave these little patches.
So, yeah, dog grooming was a test. At least they tested this one out.
Wow, that's so weird. So weird. They thought this. Who would sit there and watch dog grooming?
6,000 people.
6,000 people. Where are they now? Dead.
Well, it was 1900. They're all dead, Bill.
Must have been a real boring time, 1900.
Well, television wasn't a thing.
Nope.
So I started looking into all this because do you know what event they added just this year? Think 1980s. Big 1980s thing.
A 1980s thing. Rubik's Cube.
No.
Slinky racing. Pet rock throwing.
Think Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Breakdancing. Really?
Breakdancing was added as an event to the Olympics this year.
Did they come with their own cardboard
I hope so.
thing they slapped down?
I haven't seen it yet. I want to see him come out with like the hat that they can do the head spin on. I hope they're all wearing like neon nylon jumpsuits. I want to see the most 80s breakdancing thing ever.
Well, the Swiss have taken it doing the worm. That was a real winner.
And I'll tell you what, dude, I've watched darts as an Olympic sport this week. I've watched dressage, horse dancing. I've watched it all. So I can guarantee you when breakdancing comes on, I will be transfixed to my television.
There is horse dancing?
Horse dancing.
What's it called? Dressage?
Dressage.
Dressage.
Dressage. It's
Wow.
French.
Yeah.
And, you know,
From the minds that brought you poodle clipping.
You know, I was watching the horse events, the equestrian events, and it's like jumping over gates and being timed and who can do it the fastest. And, you know, all these countries get off and they're getting their medals. And I'm like, motherfucker, that horse did all the work. That horse ain't getting nothing but he's getting turned to glue.
Yeah. Might get an extra sugar cube or something.
Best he can do is get put out to stud and screw the rest of his life. That's about it.
That might be what he got.
Could be.
It's not so bad.
No. Some other events I didn't put on the list here. There used to be horse high jumping and horse long jumping. And I was like, again, the horse did all the work. But the picture that comes to my mind is like the high jump is when people like run and like do like that big flop over the back of the bar. I want to see a horse do that so bad.
Oh, yeah. I want to see horse pole vaulting.
Horse pole vault. Now we're talking.
Yeah. Let's start pitching these ideas for the next Olympics.
I like it. We got to get part of this Olympic committee.
I did see a little bit of the Olympics the other day. I was at a doctor's office. I was sitting in the waiting room, and we're all watching the gymnastics.
Yeah.
And this kid who looked like she was 13 does like 10 billion flips in the air, lands just like a little bit sloppy, and the judges are like, "Oh, that's gonna call that's
a tenth of a point.
She's never gonna make it now." I'm like you fuckers, like she was amazing. Like you just are condemning her, even though she looks so goddamn talented.
Do you remember back in the day, MySpace?
Mm-hmm.
On your MySpace page, you had a model.
Hold on, you're telling me you remember my MySpace page in particular?
I do, and it's all going to come back to the Olympics here. On the right-hand side of your MySpace page, you had like a dummy that you could click and fling, and this dummy model would just like fall from the sky and had like lifeless limbs and would like land on stuff and flop around every which way.
Oh my God.
Do you remember this?
I do now.
I knew you did. There was a girl from Brazil that was on the uneven bars, and she was flipping around the bars, and she turned into that dummy from your MySpace.
Really?
She kneed herself in her own head. She split her eyelid wide open.
Oh my
She had
God.
to get like a suture put up there, and she came back, finished the routine, and still got a bronze medal.
That should be a sport.
Kick yourself in the head?
No, suture healing or whatever. Do it right after that sport.
Yeah. There ought to be there ought to be a medal for the EMTs that can put the most sutures on gymnasts that kick themselves in the head.
I can't believe you're remembering my MySpace page.
I remember dumb shit.
What's it like to have a memory like that?
I don't know.
Do you remember the womb?
No, I don't. I don't remember that.
You remember birth? That's incredible.
Oh, man. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing with all my time.
Well, I think we're going to have to start watching the Olympics. I thought it was just like running in circles, you know?
That's all going to be like track and field takes place next week.
Oh.
This week is all this crazy, goofy shit. I'm telling you, these guys playing ping pong, it was the #1 ranked guy in the world from China playing this guy from Sweden. And the Swedish guy took him down, and it was like the drama, the pageantry of it all.
Wow. I like curling. Is that still one?
That's Winter Olympics.
I
But
like
yeah.
that. I like that. I like when the guys get on the ground and clean the ice and
Grooving it?
Yeah, I love that. Isn't curling just essentially shuffleboard?
It's shuffleboard, and I feel like it was invented by janitors.
Yeah, this would be a really great Olympic sport. Let me submit this and see if it actually takes, said Janitor Joe.
Yeah, so
All right.
It's been my week.
That's a week well spent. I think I'm going to watch some Olympics. I'm fascinated to see what dumb shit comes next.
Yeah.
It's like a reality show now.
One guy is from Douglasville. He won the gold medal for men's freestyle.
What?
Yeah, he graduated from the high school Jenna went to right down the road here.
Wow.
It's like 5 minutes from here, right?
Yeah, technically it's the town next door.
Yeah.
There's nothing going on in this area.
No.
The only thing is, did you know this about this area? We got 2 claims to fame. Well, maybe 3. Kate plus 8, remember that show? Right? Everybody knows that they were here. They lived here, rather, and
Yeah.
you see them walking around all the time.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Taylor Swift was born in this area.
Yes.
One of the co-creators of YouTube came from this area.
Really?
Yeah. But other than these 3 people, nobody's ever been able to leave this town.
We have another Olympic tie to this area. The company that makes almost all of the swimming suits and gymnastics gear is based out of Reading, Pennsylvania.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They just must have a contract from like way back in the day because there
It
can't be
could
anything.
be.
Yeah.
It could very well be. I guess it's like the biggest rival to Speedo.
That's what keeps this town afloat. The Olympics. Olympic bathing suits.
Once every 4 years.
Yeah. Right now, the economy is great. In about 3 weeks, when's the Olympics over? 3 weeks? We're just going to go right back to ghetto.
Right back to poverty.
Yeah.
What's new with you, man?
Well, I love a surprise game, so thank you for that. What's new with me? Really nothing. It was just a week of work. It's not like I get to go on vacation this weekend.
Yeah, well, I'm off all next week. I'm not going anywhere, but we are heading down to the beach house Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's more of a staycation. Yeah, I just see a lot of grilling and laying low and not going to work over my next 7 days.
Are you going to see Deadpool?
I might. Do you want to see it again?
I would go see it again because can you believe what I did? I go to Deadpool. I had one drink before we went because it was Friday. Me and Amy went on a date. We were like, we're going to see Deadpool. I had a drink, got there, and they made a Deadpool drink and a Wolverine drink because we go to one of those places that serve alcohol. And I had 2 of the Wolverine drinks, and I was just smashed. Dude, I don't know what they put in this drink. By the time the movie ended, I was like, oh, what the hell happened to me?
Do you remember enough to know, was it a good drink or was it just all novelty?
The drink was amazing. Holy hell, it was great.
The real question, did you get a popcorn bucket?
I didn't see any popcorn
Fuck.
buckets. Maybe
All right.
we didn't have them at the place we went.
Maybe.
But I'm not going to spoil it for nobody has to tune out. I mean, this is the spectacle of the year, so I'm not going to ruin a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would go again. I
Okay.
would go again because it's just hysterical. There are some moments that you will just cry laughing.
All right. Yeah, we can do that.
And then right after that was Comic-Con. So
Yes.
Friday I'm watching Deadpool, and then the weekend of Comic-Con just broke my heart.
San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, my heart was
Yeah.
broken. As we switch over to the news
Uh-oh.
with our first news story of Robert Downey Jr. coming back to the MCU in the role of Doctor Doom.
Many people are not happy.
Many, including me. I watched it happen. I was watching the live stream.
Yeah.
And so, Kevin Feige gets up there and he starts talking about, here's all the stuff coming up, like Russo brothers. They announced they're going to do the next 2 Avengers movies. I love the Russo brothers as directors.
Yes.
They did Winter Soldier. They did Civil War. They did the last 2 Avengers movies.
Wasn't it Infinity War?
Yep, Infinity War and Endgame.
Endgame, that's what I was thinking of, yeah.
And except for the way that they fucked up the Hulk, everything was amazing about what they did there. I mean, they put together so many loose ends and made it work.
And we know why they did that now. They didn't want to pay for that CGI, according
Probably.
to Ruffalo.
Is that true? I don't remember.
That was one of our news stories, yeah.
After the budget that thing must have had, they probably ran out of money.
With the amount of CGI that it had, I'm thinking they probably ran out of CGI houses to do a fucking Hulk.
Well, now there's so many loose threads in the MCU. This is going to be like a War and Peace type of movie. It's going to run for 12 hours.
going to have to.
It's going to have to.
There's 145 main characters.
But what do you think about Robert Downey Jr. coming back?
So I guess they're doing it because he, in this timeline, it's going to be one of those multiverse bullshit things. In this timeline, the character of Robert Downey Jr. didn't become Tony Stark. He instead became Victor Von Doom.
That's so lame.
It is.
Somebody said somewhere that there is a comic storyline that parallels that. Like there was a Doom version who was Tony Stark. But if they're digging that deep for this.
Do you think in real world, Disney, Marvel, all that jazz, do they think going back to Morton Downey Jr. is the only thing that's going to bring them money and put asses in seats?
Morton. Yeah, I don't know. Like it just seems desperate.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem cool.
It
seems desperate.
It seems like, well, we hit DEF CON 1, break the glass.
Yeah. The weirdest thing was like everybody who saw the announcement from what I saw in the YouTube video, they erupted in cheers. They were like, what? Because all of a sudden Robert Downey comes out. He's wearing a Doom mask. And they're like, who's under the mask? And he whips it off and it's Robert Downey. The crowd erupted. But I think it was one of those.
Because it was Robert Downey Jr. in the house, not because he's playing Doom.
Yeah, right. Right.
It's like we're cheering for this event.
Yeah.
Not for that thing coming out 2 years from now.
And imagine it's like, yeah, oh my God, this is amazing. Wait, actually, this kind of sucks. Holy shit, I'm really pissed off about this.
You can really see the whole change in the room over 8 seconds of, hey, wait a minute. Yeah.
They did something cool at that Comic-Con event I've never seen before. It was a drone show.
Oh, they're cool. Disney has a couple of those.
Really?
Yeah. They're all synchronized and they flash and sometimes they team them up with fireworks.
Yeah, that's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
And it was Wolverine and Deadpool, and it was created with drones.
Yeah.
Holy shit. No drones ever bang into each other and spin out of control, and then all of a sudden you have a domino effect of all these drones just getting whacked.
It's like the fucking pterodactyl scene in Jurassic World. People just running from drones falling from the sky.
But it really looks like the Spider-Man movie when they were fighting what's his name?
What, Electro?
Not Electro. I was going to say the same thing. Mysterio.
Mysterio,
Yeah.
yes.
So it's that
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. He's coming up later. But there were that many drones. Like in that Spider-Man movie, there must have been 1 million drones to make this show that was flying above Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Go watch it.
I think I've seen it.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
They had that cool part too, where all of a sudden they stopped doing images of Deadpool and Wolverine, and they switched to Fantastic Four. And it's already been announced who the villain is in Fantastic Four, so it wasn't an Easter egg.
It wasn't a release or a reveal.
Right. It wasn't a reveal. But they create this version of Galactus just kind of rising up over Comic-Con. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was this menacing presence over top. Yeah.
This drone, I mean, if that's the beginning of the drone shows, where's that going to be in 20 years?
Yeah. Epcot has a drone show. That's like their nightly show now.
That's amazing technology.
It's wild. They did that at the Super Bowl the other year, but it was pretty shitty. It was like, if you squint real hard, you can kind of connect the dots. It's not that way anymore.
Yeah, I do remember that now that you say that.
It was like a Pepsi logo because it was sponsored by Pepsi.
Oh, well.
Of course.
I mean, what do you think that costs? I'm going to rent a drone show for my son's birthday.
I mean, the programming of the drones and the lights is probably the hardest part. I mean, the drones are reusable. How much do you think an actual professional fireworks show costs? Tens of thousands of dollars.
I never thought of that. So those big fireworks are probably expensive.
And you're literally setting it on fire. Yes.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what kills more people, fireworks shows or drone shows.
Let's watch.
I do remember going to a fireworks show with my cousins, my aunt and uncle, and all of a sudden we're like, look at this firework. It's getting closer. It's closer. It's like an ash falling from the sky.
Yeah.
It looks so close. It looked at it. It landed on his lap, my uncle's lap. It's like, oh, we're like, oh, it was close.
Yeah, man. I had some. I was at some fireworks shows where there were duds. It just flips out into the audience. Yeah.
Local man Scott was killed today watching the fireworks.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you hope is once it goes sideways into the audience that it doesn't explode at that point, it's a true dud.
Yeah,
and it was just like a flying projectile at that point. It was more like a cannonball than it was a rocket.
I had a moment when you may have even been there. You may have even, did I know you then?
I don't know.
I don't know if maybe I didn't know you then. We had a party where we had bottle rockets and we got a little too loosey-goosey with the juicy. And we were putting the bottle rockets down in this park. And my buddy Ralph, oh man, I got a buddy named Ralph. His name is actually Ralph. Yeah. And all of a sudden I see Ralph standing there and this bottle rocket falls over and goes, right? And Ralph dives like a superhero. He dives out of the way of the bottle rocket and hides behind a bench, like a metal bench.
Uh-huh.
He would have been impaled by that bottle rocket.
Probably.
It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen to watch him dive out of the way of a bottle rocket.
That was probably the most agile a drunk man moved in a long time.
Oh my God. I got to ask him if he remembers that.
I don't know Ralph, and I didn't know you then.
All
so I
right.
was not part of this party.
You could have died that day. We were rowdy. Well, I don't know. Going back to the Morton Downey Jr. thing. I mean, if people really hate this, could you see Marvel going, all right, we heard you. You don't like it. We'll cancel it. They've already canceled Kang because of, all that shit that
Well,
went
I
on.
think this is the answer to Kang.
But they seem to be okay canceling things and going back on their word. It's not like it's like, well, we got to do this now.
But I feel like they only canceled Kang because they had language in his contract, I'm sure, that if he did anything behavior unbecoming of Disney, they can back out of it. They probably have ink dry. I mean, they definitely have ink dry on an RDJ contract. I don't think they're going to welch on that.
Yeah, you know what? As soon as it came out of my mouth, I went, no, they're already paid the guy.
He got money in the bank.
And we called it, too. Do you remember a few episodes? It was more than a few. Like, somebody had said to him, hey, are you going to come back to the MCU? And he goes, never say never. And we're like, well, that's it. That's a yes.
That sounded like a guy that was keeping the door open.
That sounded like a guy who was just signing the contract as he was being interviewed.
There's somebody else in our news here that sounds like somebody that's trying to keep the door open with Marvel.
I think that would be Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes,
you
are right, sir.
You sent this story over. You want to talk about this one?
Yeah. Also at San Diego Comic-Con, our interviewer asked Jamie Lee Curtis if she knows what phase the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in right now. And her response was, bad.
I'm bad.
So not phase 5, not phase 4. Where are we right now? I guess we're on like out of 4 into 5.
I've lost track.
Who
Now
the
they're
fuck
calling
knows?
this the Mutant Saga. Like they just
Yes.
suddenly renamed it.
Well, that's because they acquired Fox, I guess, and now they can use the mutants. But yeah, her answer was bad. Well, now she's apologized. She called Kevin Feige and apologized. She said she will not take part in this mudslinging internet trash dumpster fire that people seem to thrive on, and she regrets her answer. And yeah, again, sounds like somebody trying to kick that door back open and be like, hey, remember me?
Right.
Because really, I mean, she wants to talk about that saga being bad, and okay, she's in The Bear, which is a good show. I enjoy that, but like the Halloween shit she was doing was no better quality than what the MCU's doing right now, so you shouldn't be throwing mud.
I know that she said some stuff because she was in that Everything Everywhere at Once movie,
Yes.
which was awesome. She was
It
awesome.
was a
in
good
that,
movie, yes.
where she's like, our multiverse is. She made some kind of joke that way. But yeah, when and all this I think was in fun. She's awesome.
I know. I don't think she's like malicious person. I think it got taken away and she realized it and she was trying to make good for it. But as I read this article, I was like,
Yeah. I like that she wrote Kevin Feige. He's probably like, Jamie Lee Curtis, what the fuck? I don't got time for this. I don't care. I don't care what you said, Jamie Lee. But she is probably one of the only A-list actors who haven't been in the MCU yet.
It's funny. Like, I'll see an actress on television and I'll completely forget that, like, oh shit, they were in MCU. Like, at one point, there's just so many movies you forget who played roles of. Who am I thinking of? Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I forgot that she's playing that thing from Cannonball or Thunderbolts.
Cannonball. Imagine Cannonball Run meets
I
the
watched
MCU.
both Cannonball runs last week.
Really?
I did.
They're good. What about the third one?
DeLuise wasn't. There's a third one?
Yeah, you're saying you watched both of them. There's 3. The third one, Burt Reynolds didn't even come back.
I didn't know there was a part 3.
Yeah, it had that musician Jerry Reed, the old like 70s chicken picking guy.
Really?
Like the hee-haw type of guy. Yeah. He was a character in one of them.
Yeah.
And then it's
yeah.
like, well, we can't get Burt back for the third one. Let's just bring
he
him
was in
in.
part 2. So he filled in for Burt Reynolds in part 3.
Yeah.
Sally Field wasn't back, was she?
No.
They were too big for that. But yeah, that was funny. The week before I went on vacation, I watched both. Well, the two I knew of. They were both on Prime, I think.
And they had some cameos, like from people that weren't even that big then. Like Jamie Farr, I don't think was in MASH at that point.
Right.
Wasn't
Dom DeLuise was in there. He was the veterinarian.
Was Jackie Chan one of the drivers?
No. But anyway, Julie Louis-Dreyfus in Thunderbolts. There's just so many actresses or actors even that's just like, oh shit, like they are wrapped up in this in one way, shape, or form. Maybe they had to bring back Robert Downey Jr. because they're out of people to hire.
Yeah.
We're reusing at this point.
They're gonna have to go to the D list. They're gonna have to get Emilio Estevez, and
Yo, wastoid.
that could be a game. It's like the 6, 7. What's that called? 7 separation of
7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, they ought to be like some kind of game related to the MCU. Every celebrity is within.
Well, really, what happened is now there is an MCU. It's probably like the 2 degrees of Kevin Bacon because Kevin Bacon is in the MCU. Or I guess he played Snow in Fox's X-Men First Class.
Oh, that's right. Damn, that's right.
I guess my point is, if maybe not the MCU, but everybody's been in a fucking superhero movie at this point.
All right, we're gonna do a surprise game.
I love
Ready?
it.
I'm gonna name 3 celebrities, and you tell me true or false they were in the MCU.
Okay.
All right. Starting with Liv Tyler.
I just go right to Lord of the Rings. She was in Hulk with Edward Norton.
You got it.
Okay.
All right. Vin Diesel.
I mean, the most superhero thing I have for him. Well, he voices Groot. Is that going to count?
That counts.
Okay.
I
Then
count
yes.
that.
Yes.
Lloyd Kaufman from Trauma. The guy.
He's the guy that created Trauma.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Was
such
he-
a weird guy.
Was he in an MCU movie?
You wouldn't have just pulled that up if it wasn't true.
It's true, yeah. So James Gunn did Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn
He came from Trauma.
Came from Trauma. So as a wink, he put Lloyd in one of the background scenes of.
That's funny.
Yeah.
See, everybody.
Everybody, almost, except us. All right, moving on to the next story. I wonder if you're excited about this. Jay and Silent Bob 3, officially titled Store Wars. Store Wars. That's hard to say. Store Wars.
Oh man,
Do
I
you
don't know.
care about anything from this guy anymore? Like, I'm so burned out on Kevin Smith.
Kevin Smith just came out with the 4:30 movie. Just got released.
I saw that trailer. I was like, I'll skip this one too.
You know what I was watching the other night?
What?
Tusk.
Oh, I hate that movie.
It's so weird, man. Like, I don't know. Kevin Smith is hit or miss for me.
Me too. And he used to be hit because he had that same humor I had.
Yeah, I liked Clerks. I liked the movies more when like Jay and Silent Bob were there, but it wasn't about them.
Right.
Like also Rans, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I liked all the Jay and Silent Bob stuff.
The Cockknocker played by Mark Hamill.
Oh, yeah. That was a great movie, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Oh, I love Jay and Silent Bob.
I love the George Carlin cameo where
Yep.
they're trying to hitchhike. He's
Yep.
like, ass, gas, or grass, fellas. Nobody rides for free.
Remember Carrie Fisher was in that as a
Carrie
nun?
Fisher played the nun. His cameos were great. I mean, who he can put in the movies are fantastic, but can he sustain an hour and a half long movie? This 4:30 movie seems pretty interesting to me. But we're back with Justin Long. Like, he is a guy that has his fucking acting troupe.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I loved Jay and Silent Bob until I saw something like the last time they were in it. And now Kevin Smith is like super skinny and Jay doesn't look like Jay anymore. You know, it just looks too long in the tooth. I don't know if I even care.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
It's a 90s thing. You know, some things just need to stay where they belong.
Yeah. Chasing Amy was a great movie too, man.
Oh, I hated it.
Really?
Yeah. Because it was mall rats. It's like, that's so great. And then all of a
it was
sudden,
more of a
Chasing Amy.
serious romance type movie, but
He's always been that way. He's like, movie that everybody loves, then he does a Chasing Amy. Movie everybody loves, then he does a Cop Out. Remember Cop Out?
Yeah.
He's a very odd director in a way.
He does what he likes.
Yeah.
Kind of like fuck if everybody else likes it. I mean, that's commendable.
That's true. If I had a career in Hollywood, that's what I would want.
If I already made bank and I don't really much care. I mean, he loves the Smog Castle theater. He likes just doing stuff that he likes.
Yeah, it's like the guy who just did Megalopolis. Like, that thing's probably going to...
Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh, it's probably going to lose hundreds of millions. Like, however much it's going to lose because nobody cares. And he put all his heart and soul into it.
Kevin Costner looking in your direction.
Oh, that's great. I love that they already have
Horizon
Horizon 2 done, and they're working on Horizon 3.
3 and 4, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was reading all sorts of stuff about movies that are going to fail. Like, I love reading negative shit because I'm just a dark, angry person. I was watching a thing where it was talking about that Borderlands movie.
Yes.
They're like, yeah, this is going to fail. We're sure
Is
of it.
it?
And then they said it was a movie that's got started years ago. So Eli Roth, the horror director, actually shot a lot of that movie maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
You like what, Hostel and stuff like that?
Yeah.
By Eli Roth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So for some reason, he made this Borderlands movie. And then it had to do reshoots. And then other writers came on board. So this thing's like, Jack Black is like, I barely remember doing this thing, probably is what he's saying. Because it was so long ago in these guys' careers.
He got some time on his hands now.
I guess he does. I guess no more tour.
Thanks a lot, KG.
What are they talking about? Go back and listen to our other show. All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's really that excited about Jay and Silent Bob, but there's another one coming.
I'll watch it on streaming, but I'm not going to the theaters to see it.
Oh, next up is the story you sent about Amazon.
About watching things on streaming and not going to the theaters to see it? Okay.
We're still
nice
talking.
segue.
So good. I'm the segue master. We were talking before about the Roadhouse remake and how, everybody was getting upset behind the scenes, from Jake Gyllenhaal to, was it Doug Liman, the director?
Yes. Because they all thought it was coming out in the theater.
Yeah.
And then Amazon was like, no.
No. But now they're saying, you knew that. They're saying, we offered, this deal to you and you accepted this deal. And now you are upset that it's on streaming and you're not getting the residuals you would have gotten at the movies.
Right.
So I don't know what the real story is here. Here's the thing. They're all right. So anyway, this story talks about how, it is Doug Liman slams Amazon for getting no pay from Roadhouse on Amazon. But the way they frame it, it's like he didn't get paid at all.
Right.
Of course, he got millions. They got millions.
He did.
They just didn't get that back end deal. And that's what they're mad about.
Sure.
And I got to think, like, with the way Hollywood is right now, would you want to be a director out there bitching about a deal? The last thing I would ever be is a studio exec or a producer. I wouldn't want Doug Liman. Like, that guy's caused a lot of drama. Like, let's get somebody who plays ball. So he's only doing himself a disservice by getting out there, I think.
Well, the reason I sent this over was because we talked a lot about how the way business was done in Hollywood is not the way business is being done in Hollywood. And all this streaming and the shit that went down during the pandemic and movies going direct to streaming and never even hitting theaters, the business side of this entertainment industry is on its ear. And people don't know what the fuck to do.
Right.
So this guy says that it was viewed, 200,000 times, he didn't get a dime for it?
He got a dime. He got a couple million, I'm sure. So that's a dime.
What's the headline say?
Yeah, I know. You're right. I don't know. There's always two sides of this story. It's like when we were talking about the strike.
You made a bad deal.
Yeah. It's all about the deal. Don't bitch about the deal you made. And that was my problem with the whole strike. Like, you guys can go make better deals. You can, you don't have to go on strike. Here's my next story. Writers' earnings plunged 32% after WGA strike. So there aren't that many jobs. The strike caused people to be like, well, we're shuttering this production. We don't need writers anymore. So all of a sudden the writers are like, we're back on the market, and the jobs are gone.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been talking about that the past couple of weeks in different ways, but yeah.
And that's one of the things that's really stuck a blade in Hollywood. It's bleeding out.
Sure.
It's scary. I think about it all the time. It's like, with AI and all this new stuff coming up that's going to make things cheaper, will we have a decline in stories because now there's not enough money to make the kind of movies we're used to? Or will we be okay because the price of these productions will come down because of all the technology that can help make them?
I told you my thoughts on this way back when the strike first happened. I don't need huge mega blockbuster movies. I'm okay with smaller productions so long as it's a good story. It always comes back to the story for me. And I think if people are really doing it for the art and for the story and not for the payday, I think we will get maybe not grandiose summer blockbusters, but I think those are blown out of proportion anyway. They're not really even that good. They don't stick with me. Good stories stick with me. When's the last time you went to a movie and you left the movie like quoting the movie like we used to do back in the day?
Jeez, probably 1984 Ghostbusters.
Right. And that movie still stuck with you.
Yeah, you're right. So, I mean, the writers being thinned out, if production costs go down, only the best will survive.
Right.
And maybe that's good for us as the consumer.
I think everything is kind of like self-regulating if you let it. Regardless of what outside variables are thrown at it, things are going to work out the way they're going to work out. Only the strong survive. It's business Darwinism, I guess.
Yeah, it really is. And sometimes the media, will throw it out there, like, have some sympathy for these guys. But, like, that's just the way the world works.
I mean, you said before, part of the reason why these companies are going to use AI isn't necessarily just for the fucking decrease in output or decrease in overhead. Sometimes it's because what they were getting from actual writers was not good stories, and a computer can do just as good.
Right. It's going to be an interesting next couple of years.
I don't much care. I'll be watching the Olympics.
I'll be watching YouTube video. Oh,
You're absolutely right. I will be watching YouTube videos.
I do have a rabbit hole I've been going down. I got to tell you about this. So there are tons and tons and tons of these cop videos. If you like watching cops and live PD, just go on YouTube. There's so much leaked. It must not be leaked. It must actually have to be public. But there's so much like body cam footage. And what these people are doing out there on YouTube is they're taking the body cam footage, they're putting their AI voice narration over it, and they're putting enough like sizzle in the production, because they have all kinds of templates and things that you can do in editing. It looks like we're watching cops. And it's just something that people are making with AI, and I'm watching it all. I love it. Crooked cops. Watch crooked cops be arrested by good cops. Watch teenagers who think they're untouchable become like everything.
I'm thinking back to like 1990, 1992, Scott. Like I was watching Cops like on Friday nights, but I feel like I was watching it for the wrong reasons. Like I wanted to see that guy in the trailer get the shit beat out of him.
Oh, then I'm watching for the wrong reason because I want to see these bad guys like get their, just desserts.
Yeah.
Just desserts.
And they do. And it's so great to see. It's so great. I love watching crooked cops get caught by other cops. I love watching cops have to arrest their bosses. That kind of shit's awesome. And it's all out there.
That sounds like something that ranks up there with Reno 911, which was a fantastic show.
It was a great show. And I'm not an anti-cop guy, but I'm an anti-bad cop guy. So It's fun to see that. But it's also great to see good cops do great stuff because they never, expected that what they're doing is going to be, they're not doing it for YouTube views.
Sure, right.
Yeah, so it's pretty fun.
That's genuine, man. That's good storytelling, even though it wasn't really a story. It's just life.
Yeah. It entertained me like crazy. I don't need, if YouTube is always going to be there, I don't need Hollywood anymore.
There you go.
Amazing. All right, we got two more stories. This one's interesting. You know who Josh Hartnett is?
Yes, Josh Hartnett was the other guy from Pearl Harbor.
Right.
And now he's in a new movie called Trap.
Okay, that must be why an article came out about him. So he was in Pearl Harbor. He was in Black Hawk Down.
He just did a cameo in the latest season 3 of The Bear.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's getting back.
I was very surprised too, because like he's been out of Hollywood for a bit, and like I was watching The Bear, and he's like a background character. He plays like somebody's ex-wife's new boyfriend. I was like, is that fucking Josh Hartnett? Sure enough.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in forever.
You're right, Black Hawk Down. That was him.
I remember seeing him in Hollywood H2O. And thinking,
the fuck? Oh, Halloween H2O.
What'd I say?
I thought you said Hollywood H2O.
I think I did.
Okay.
Oh boy, I'm getting old. Starting mixing up my words in my brain. Yeah, Halloween H2O. He was like Jamie Lee Curtis's kid in that.
Yes.
And I remember thinking, this is a pretty good actor, this kid. And at about the same time, I think they were doing maybe the first Spider-Man movie. Okay. And I remember thinking that kid would be a great Peter Parker. Good looking kid. He's, the teenage age. He's tall and lanky like Peter Parker is in the comics. I was like, this kid could be great. Yeah. And as his star started to go up, I was like, look, I was right. I know how to cast people in Hollywood. Like, this kid's a star. And then boom, went away.
Well, this new movie, Trap, he's in is an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Oh, I'll be skipping that.
Well, I was going to say, so his star might be back on the rise, but he's not at the pinnacle yet.
I'm desperate for somebody to say, go see this M. Night Shyamalan movie. It's good. They're never good.
Hasn't happened since Unbreakable.
Not since the first 3 or 4, right? I even liked The Village, and people were starting to punch out about that point. So anyway, do you know why he left Hollywood?
No, I don't.
So the article here is titled, Josh Hartnett rejected Superman twice and left Hollywood once. He says, people were stalking me. So a guy actually showed up at one of his premieres with a gun and said, I'm your father, and like freaked him out so bad that he's like, I can't be doing these high-profile productions anymore. It puts me too out there. I'm too vulnerable, and it just freaked him out.
Holy shit.
So if that happened to him, what other crazy stuff happens to the other bigger celebrities who stay in Hollywood?
There's definitely a reason why Bodyguard is such a big job out in California.
Yeah, I guess. But he was offered Superman twice, and he's like, nah, I don't want it. I don't want to be that famous.
Wow. Which Superman do you think?
I don't know. Didn't say.
Damn.
Yeah.
So what makes him want to come back now?
Money.
Hello, I like money.
I like money. Yeah, I mean, it's not like people's mental health has gotten any better over the past 15, 20 years.
No, not at all.
If
Not
anything, you're going to see a lot worse now, Josh.
Yeah. Well, welcome back to Hollywood. What else can I say? I mean, it's a different world. All right, my last story. I never thought we'd be talking about that Gina Carano issue from way back when. It's back in the news.
Wait, the lawsuit against Disney?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Gina Carano, do you remember what she got fired from The Mandalorian for? Do you remember what she said?
She was making posts online that were comparing the rules around shelter in place to living in Holocaust Poland, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
And that may not be 100%, but along those lines.
So Gina Carano calls for Pedro Pascal, Kathleen Kennedy to testify over Mandalorian firing. But if you go on, she's not only looking for them, she wants to bring in Jon Favreau. She wants to bring in Bob Chapek, the old Disney CEO. Like, she's bringing all of them in, and she's like, this is unfair. You fired me for saying what I said, but what about what, Pedro said? Pedro said that, remember when everybody was like, oh, Trump is like Hitler? Well, Pedro is one of the people that said that. So she's like, you fired me for what I said, but you didn't fire any of them. So she's got another, charge to these guys saying it's unfair. You're okay with that, but not with me.
Because they're on the left side and I'm on the right side.
That's got to be it. That's what she's probably saying it is. And is she wrong? Maybe not. I mean, Hollywood is very liberal. It is very, very liberal. But it's
down, Rob Schneider.
I know. But fair is fair. I mean, if Pedro said that, you do got some explaining to do.
I don't remember these stories when they came out. Where did Pedro say that?
Probably, it said social media.
And that's what she did, I guess.
And that's what she did. But I just can't believe
Here's
we're
the
still
thing, though.
talking about it.
It wasn't one strike and done for her. Did she get strikes and they not? Maybe. Maybe that's unfair. But they kind of told her where the line was. And she was habitual line step.
You're right. I forgot about that. Yeah, it wasn't a
She had warnings. They brought her back. I think she had 3 warnings. And finally they were like, you keep biting the hand that feeds. So should the other people that are being implicated here, should they have been given warnings too? Sure. Will we know if they would have continued and be relentless with their divisive messaging? We'll never know. But you did.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't have much sympathy. Plus, move on. How the fuck can you grow if you can't stop looking backwards?
Well, she needs the money. So she's got to watch this. She's got to, take this lawsuit all the way through. And these damn things take forever.
Plus, it's being financially backed by Elon Musk.
Yeah, it's true. Well, he's, Mr. No censorship. So, even if his point is, whether he agrees with something or not, everybody's got the right to say it. And I remember thinking when this happened, going, you should have the right to say whatever you want, even if it sucks, but the company can have the right to fire you if they don't like it.
At will states.
But now with this, if the others said things that were nasty and she said things that were nasty, well, okay, she got told several times I didn't consider that. But yeah, I mean, she almost has an argument.
It's the most sane point I've heard. And that's about as far as I can go with it.
Yeah.
Because it's not ironclad. It's not the smoking gun.
I just can't believe we're still talking about it. I can't believe it showed up in my news feed.
Speaking of smoking guns and things I can't believe we're still talking about, how about Alec Baldwin being completely acquitted from his involuntary manslaughter charges from the set of Rust?
Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Never talked. It happened when I was on vacation.
I thought it would go that way.
I was hoping it was going to go that way. It seemed like a frivolous lawsuit, but he never intended to shoot and kill somebody.
Right.
That would be a great Twilight Zone episode, though, or a great, the whole thing was set up and rigged so because he wanted to shoot somebody on the set and get away with it.
Well, if this were a political thing, somebody would already have that story out there.
Sure. It was a false flag.
Yeah. How come there's no conspiracy theories in Hollywood? What am I saying? Of course there are. Of course there are. I do stories about them sometimes.
All of Hollywood's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. But no, that one hasn't floated around yet. We're going to start it.
I'll tell you what, though. When that story does come up, you'll hear about it here first.
That's right. And that's why you listen to the show. Well, that was my last story.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to the show, and thank you for telling friends. We haven't been seeing the spikes we saw that one week, but hot damn, it's still growing. So thank you for that. We'll keep this thing going. We'll see you next week, and thanks for listening.
Smoking weed, doing coke, drinking beers, beers.